Welcome to the next part of the real-time chat website. In this part of the development, we're going to build a friend system. So that means everything from being able to search friends, being able to then send friend requests, also handling the different sort of statuses that can be involved after you send a friend request. Like if you go to someone's account, what's it going to look like after you send them a friend request? Well, there should be like a cancel button. And if they sent you a friend request and you visited their profile, there should be something that says like you can either accept it or decline it. There'll also be like friends lists, so we can view friends lists of users who you're friends with, or you can view your own friends list. There's going to be lists for friend requests because you could get multiple requests, obviously. And then later also we'll build a notification system that you can accept friend requests from. So if you get a friend request, a notification will pop up and you'll be able to either accept or decline that friend request within the notification itself. And that's obviously going to be real time also. Oh, and of course, later when we work on the real-time chat system, when we build private chat messages, you'll only be able to chat with your friends. So unless you're friends with a user, you can't start a chat or open up a chat. That's going to be kind of, an added level of privacy that you'd want to add to it, which makes sense because any other website like Facebook, you have to be friends with somebody to be able to send them a private message. So as always, when we're adding like a new feature to our website, we want to do Python manage.py start app, and then whatever that feature or whatever that app is going to be called. We're going to call this the friend app. So pressing enter on that, and that's going to generate a bunch of code for us. I'm going to run the server right away because I know I'm going to have to eventually, so I don't want to come back and do it. So now the server is running and we've created a new app. Let's go into the kind of root level project directory, go into settings.py, and I'm going to increase this font size for you guys a little bit so you can see better. And let's add that new friend app to our list of installed apps. So now first things first, let's press Control S on this. I can leave this open, I guess, just so you know kind of what we edited in this video. Now we're going to go into models.py inside of our friend app, and we're going to build that friend model, the friend list model, and also the friend request model. So from django.conf, import settings. From django.utils, import time zone. We will need the time zone later to set some dates. Now let's create that. Let's create the friend list app first. A friend list models dot model. Now the first parameter in here is going to be the user. Every friend list obviously is going to have a user associated with it. So essentially I'm creating like a primary key relationship to some user. So the way I can do that is models.one to one field. So there's going to be one friend list per one user. That's kind of how you would think of this. So settings.auth user model. Now I want to designate an on delete kind of criteria. Well, we want to delete all of the records. So I want to say models.cascade. If a user is deleted, it would delete then all of their corresponding friend list. And before I continue, I'm going to go up to view up here and wrap this word wrap so that it goes to the next line, just so you guys can kind of get a better view. So on delete models.cascade, and now the last field is going to be the related name. The related name will be the user. All right, so the next field is going to be the friend list. So this field will be called friends. This is going to be the actual list of friends that they have. So I want to do models.many to many field to settings.auth user model. Same thing. So it's going to be a list of users basically. You can think of it as like a list of primary keys, I guess. There's going to be one user that's associated with the friend list. That's the one who owns it. And then there's going to be a list of like primary keys to the accounts who they are friends with. I want to set blank equal to true because it is possible that they have no friends. And then I'm going to set a related name of friends. The model is pretty simple. That's basically all the fields that we need. Now we need our toString function. So this is what gets printed out if we just like access the model itself. So string self return self dot user.username. I always like to just print out their username because some people like to keep their email private. Well, most people probably like to keep their email private. Now add friend will be a function that we can execute on a friend list. And this is the second parameter here is going to be the account that they're going to add as a friend. So I'll write some comments here just so you kind of get a description of what's going to be happening. Add a new friend. Now the function is if not account in self.friends.all. So we're getting access to that list of friends. If the account is not inside of that account, then I want to do self.friends.add. So I'm adding that as a friend and then just self.save. So just a simple check. Are they already friends? If they aren't already friends, then add them. That is the add friend function. Now, the next one you probably guessed is going to be remove friend. So remove friend, self, and account, just like add friend. Whoops, add a colon there. I'll write some comments just like in the add friend function and do remove a friend. And scroll down to give you a better kind of view. So same sort of thing here. If account in self.friends.all, if they are friends, then we want to remove them. So self.friends.remove and remove that account. You know, actually looking back up at here, I don't think we have to save it. I think you can remove that. So remove that or keep it if you like to be safe, but it should be fine if you remove that. This doesn't require a save, I don't think. So now the next function, let's just go over here. The next one is going to be unfriending. So you can think of these two functions, add friend and remove friend, as like kind of the core functionality. There's not much checks, like logic checks or things that need to be done. It's just like strictly add this to a friend list, remove this from the friend list. Now the next function is going to be unfriend. So define unfriend. Now this is going to be a couple, you'll need a little bit of logic in here basically, because you're going to have one user that is the removee and one user that is the remover. So one person that is executing the unfriend request, basically, like if I wanted to destroy our friendship, I guess you would say, that would mean that I'm the remover and the person who I'm removing is the removee. So that would be this person right here. So I'll write some comments here. This terminology is a little weird, but I can't think of like really better terminology than this. So initiate the action of unfriending someone. So that's, like I said, the remover is the person initiating the action, and the person who's being unfriended is the removee. So you would go like remover friends list, friends list equals self. And I'll write a comment here just to kind of clarify. So person terminating the friendship, the person executing this, destroying of the friendship, I guess. And then next would be remove friend from remover friend list. So remover friend list dot calling that remove friend function that we just defined above. And we want to remove the removee, the person who's getting removed. See, this terminology is weird, but I think when you really think about it, it does make sense. Now I want to do remove the friend from removee friend list. So I want to access the other friend list. So friends list equals friend list, and I have to look this up because it's not me, it's some other user. Objects.get user equals removee. I want to access their friend list, and then I want to use that friend list, so friends list, and call remove friend, and I want to remove myself. So I could do like remover friends list dot user, that would work. Or like if you wanted to simplify this, you could also do self.user. It's the same thing. So that would be unfriending someone. Now the next function is going to be kind of like a utility function. This is going to be for determining if we are mutual friends. So is mutual friend, self and friend, and then just check, are we friends is basically what this is going to be doing. So is this a friend, question mark. So if friend in self.friends.all, then we want to return true because that means we are friends. Otherwise, just return false. So there we have the friend list model object. It's going to create a friend list table in the database, and we have some utility functions for making things easier when we actually do all the friend adding, the removing, the unfriending, all that stuff. Now the next model that we're going to build is going to be for a friend request. So every time you go to someone's profile and you send a friend request, this is going to create an entry in a database table. So class friend request and models dot model. Now I'm going to write some comments up here just to kind of clarify a few things for you. I think that you'll find this helpful. So a friend request consists of two main parts. One part is the sender, so that's the person sending the friend request, person sending / initiating the friend request, friend request. And the second part is going to be the receiver. So receiver, and this is of course the person receiving the friend request. So now that we have that kind of clarification, let's add some fields to this friend request model. So we have the sender. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do a bunch of tabs here. Do models dot foreign key. So foreign key, and do settings dot auth user model. Now you might be wondering why I used foreign key here, and if you scroll up to the top here, I used one-to-one field. And if you were paying attention up here when I defined this user field, I said a one-to-one field is basically like a foreign key, but it's not a foreign key. So how are they different? How's a one-to-one field different than a foreign key. And why did I choose to use a foreign key here and a one-to-one field up here? So those of you who don't know anything about database design and SQLite, let me just pause for maybe a minute here and explain the difference, because I think it's definitely a worthwhile thing to explain. If you already know what the difference between one-to-one and foreign key is, just fast forward to when you see me on video writing code again. So a one-to-one field, when you use that in Django, what it does is you would have two database tables. Let's use the analogy of a car. So say you're like a shop, you're like an automotive shop, and you have cars and you have a bunch of inventory of engines and you have a bunch of inventory of wheels. I think this is a good analogy. So each car, you'd have a car table, which would store all of your cars. Then you would have, if you were using a one-to-one relationship, you would have a table with engines, and that engine, it has a one-to-one relationship with the car. There's only one car and there's only one engine. So there's a one-to-one relationship. A car cannot have two engines. It's not possible. One engine, one car. That's what an example of a one-to-one field would be. Foreign keys are more for like a one-to-many relationship. And that naming, that terminology sounds confusing, even though that's the terminology that people use when talking about foreign keys. It's not really a one-to-many relationship, but it's more like a potential one-to-many relationship. And here's the analogy. So if you had that car table, you have a database table with all of the cars. You had another table that holds all of the wheels. So all the wheels that you have, maybe you have a mountain of wheels at your automotive shop. You have 1,000 wheels, but each one of those wheels is tied to a specific car. But you wouldn't use a one-to-one field, because if you used a one-to-one field, it would mean one car, one wheel. That's it. So instead, use a foreign key. The wheels table, each wheel entry would have a foreign key to a specific car. So you see what I mean here by it's sort of like a one-to-many relationship, but only in the potential. Each car could potentially be attached to any wheels, any number of wheels. Even though there's only four, it could be any number, any wheels from the massive pile of wheels. So then coming back to our Django models, we have a friend list. Now there's only ever one friend list per one user. That's why this works with a one-to-one field. There's one user, and that one user has one friend list. So it's a one-to-one field. If you scroll down to the friend request, one user could potentially send out any number of friend requests. That's why this is a foreign key. Now, the friend request object, of course, is tied to a specific user, but that user could potentially send out any number of friend requests. That's why it's more like a one-to-many relationship as opposed to a one-to-one relationship with the friend list. With the friend list, is one user, one friend list. All right, hopefully you get it by now, and if you don't, too bad. Do some Googling and do some research and look for some examples. That's the best example you're going to get, I think. All right, so now we want to add an on-delete strategy. We want to do the same thing as we did with the one-to-one field, models.cascade, and then related name, and then just set that equal to the sender. So now I'm going to copy this, and it's going to be mostly the same for the second field. This is going to be the receiver. Again, same thing, foreign key on delete. Everything's the same except for the related name, which is going to be the receiver. The next field that we're going to write is active. This is going to be a Boolean that denotes whether or not the friend request is active. So a friend request becomes inactive when it's either been accepted or it's been declined. So blank equals true, null equals false, and then default will be true. So by default, when this friend request object or friend request entry is created in the database, by default, it's going to be true. It's going to be active. And of course, we need a timestamp to denote when this thing was created. So models, date, time field. And we want to use auto now add and set that equal to true. So as soon as it's created, it's going to create a timestamp entry. Now we need our toString function. So string self and then return self.sender.username. Like I said, I usually return the username whenever possible. Now we need to build some utility functions for like accepting, declining, all that kind of stuff. So first we have accept. So define accept self, and I'm going to write some comments in here. So 1, 2, 3, and then tab twice over. So accept a friend request, update both sender and receiver. So this is what this thing is going to do. Friend lists. So if it is accepted, then we want to, add that friend to the sender's friend list, and we want to add that request or add that user to the receiver's friend list. So up here, remember taking a look at our friend list object. That means we have to query the friend list for the receiver, query the friend list for the person who accepted, or sorry, the receiver and also the sender, and then add each other to each other's friend list. Okay, so receiver friend list equals friend list objects dot get user equals self dot receiver. Now I want to do if the receiver friend list is not none. So receiver friend list. If it actually exists, then I want to do receiver friend list dot add friend. So just calling that add friend function that we just built earlier. Add friend and then do self dot sender. Next, I want to do sender friend list. So sender friend list equals friend list, same kind of thing. We want to query it. Objects dot get user equals self dot sender. Then we want to do the same kind of thing, exactly the same sender friend list. If it does not equal none, then sender friend list dot add friend, and then I want to add the receiver. So add the receiver. There we go. And then self dot is active and set that equal to false. And I don't know if you need to call save. I'm going to call save just to be careful, but I don't believe that's necessary. Next, we're going to work on the declining function. So coming up to the top, just make sure I line this all up correctly. Define decline self. Write some comments just like we've been doing. Let me know if you guys like these comments. I think it adds a nice little description to each one of these functions. So decline a friend request, and is it declined by setting the, or it is declined. It is declined by setting the is active field to false. So remember that is active field up at the top here. As soon as it's declined, it gets set to false. So that means it's no longer active. It's been declined. We are not interested in it anymore. Now all I need to do is do self.isActive and set that equal to false. And again, I'm not sure if you have to call save here, but calling it just to be careful. Now the last function is going to be canceling. So canceling a friend request. This is very similar to declining. It's just going to be declining from the perspective of the person who actually sent the friend request. Decline gets called if if you send someone a friend request and then they decline it, whereas cancel is from the perspective of like me sending you a friend request and then I decide to cancel it. So add some comments up here. Cancel friend request. And I can say it is canceled. I can do this in quotations, I guess. It is canceled by setting the is active field to false. So same kind of thing. This is only different with respect to declining through the notification that is generated. So right now there's going to be literally no difference between canceling and declining, but later when we build the notification system, it will matter because it's going to have different it's going to have a different way of execution and also a different notification that gets generated. So for now it's exactly the same, but later, like I said, we're going to be coming back and changing some of this. So self.save, even though I don't think you have to call that. So there's our two models. We have our friend request model, which could be, any user could send out any number of friend requests to any number of people. And then we have a friend list, which is a one-to-one relationship. So there is one user who has a single friend list, and that never changes. Now, one important thing that we do need to remember to do, and hopefully I remember to do this in my notes. I knew I do it at some point. When we actually create a new user, we should generate a friend list. So we'll do that later. I just want to kind of point out how it would be done. So inside of a model, inside of our account model, we can actually use something called a post save receiver. So as soon as this account object gets generated, we can write a function down here, which we'll do later, like I said, that will create a friend request entry in the database. So I won't do that now. I just wanted to mention it because it is very important, and I hope I didn't forget to write it down in my notes later on when we actually do that. So pressing Control S to save that. Now the last thing we're going to do is go to the admin for friend and update the admin file so that we can actually look at like the friend list and the friend request inside of the Django admin. So let's import our models. So from friend.models, import friend request and also friend list. And now let's build the model for the friend list. So class friend list. admin. By the way, there's lots of different ways to build admins. You can get like really granular with how you want your admin to look. So I encourage you, if you want to have any specific look to your Django admin, to go and look up that information. The Django documentation is pretty good, and there's a couple websites that have like really great examples. Actually, you know what? Let me just go on a little bit of a 30-second tangent here while it's on my mind. Simple is better than complex is probably the best written Django website that I've ever visited. The examples and the articles that this guy Vitor writes is like just awesome. Really, really, really high quality. He doesn't have any video stuff, but his articles, oh, maybe he does have videos. No, not really. He doesn't really have videos. Just articles. They're like really, really, really high quality. Another great one is Coding Entrepreneurs. So Coding Entrepreneurs or codingforentrepreneurs.com. This is the OG guy who I learned Django from. I love him. I highly recommend his stuff. I have a membership on his website. It's absolutely worth it. His articles, and he has tons and tons of videos. So his videos are very similar to mine too. Like if you like my teaching style, it's very similar to mine. So anyway, those are two websites. Total tangent. Let's just get back to this. So list display equals, this will be the same thing, user. I'm actually just going to copy this. So this will be search fields, and this one will be read only fields. And then coming down, class meta, and do model equals the friend list. And then I just want to register that. So admin.site.register, the model, which is friend list, and then the admin that I just built, which is the friend list admin. So everything has to do with the user. So if you look at the model, you look at the friend list model, I'm not interested in like displaying the friends in the admin until you actually click on the friend list entry in the database. So I'm just highlighting the user. So the list is going to display the user. The search field is user. So if you search up in the top, it's going to search the user. Read only field is user. You should never be able to edit somebody else's friend list. Everything has to do with the user. So next is the friend request admin. So class friend request admin, admin.model admin. Whoops, that's not a capital. Admin model admin. Let's do list filter equals the sender. We have both the sender and the receiver that we can look this up by. So sender and receiver. I'm going to copy this 2 more times. This is going to be list display, and this one will be the search fields. So that one's sender receiver, that one's sender receiver. Now this one's a little different. Let me actually bring up the Django admin. So the search field, what that means is if I go here, this search bar up here. So the search fields that I define here are what I can search up here. So like this actually won't work because these are referencing account objects. So if you go into models and you go down to the friend request, these are referencing account objects. So you can't search an account object. You have to search a specific field within that account object. So what you do to reference a specific field is you can do __ email or __ username. So you're searching for that user based on either their email or their username. And then of course, if you wanted to search by their email and their username, you could copy this and do email and username. So that's what __ means. It means you're going to select a specific field with that model. So I'm going to copy this one more time, paste it in, and I want to wrap text to kind of give you a better view here. And then I can do username. So I want to search both the sender and the receiver by their email and their username inside of that admin. Now class meta, and then just set the model. So model equals the friend request. And then at the end of the day, admin.site.register. I want the friend request object and the friend request. Oops, I don't know what happened there. How'd my cursor end up way over there? Friend request admin. All right, so there we go. We're saving that. That's all we're going to do in this video. Now, because we've created a new model, we've created some new database tables, and we need to apply those changes to our database. So Python manage.py make migrations to generate the migration files for the things that need to be applied to the database. Now Python manage.py migrate to apply all of those changes. So there we go. Now let's run our server again. Python manage.py run server. Now we can go to our admin for the development environment. So coming on over here, go to home, and notice now we have kind of this little section for the friend app that we built. We have friend requests and friend list. Obviously, if we click on these, there's nothing here because we haven't generated any rows in our database. But if we did have friend lists and friend requests, they would be showing in the admin. Now, up next, we are going to work on sending a friend request. So if I was to visit, someone else's profile, let's just go to this guy's profile. By the way, I'm on the real server, openchat.xyz. If I click this button, that should send him a friend request. So that is what we're going to work on in the next video. Hey, what are you still doing here? Shouldn't you be on to the next video? Well, since you're here, I might as well tell you that if you're watching this on YouTube, shame on you. You need to go to my website. You need to go to my website because you get added benefits for watching the videos on my website. And it's still free. I get to track your progress, and I give you all kinds of links in the description of the video that's going to help you get through the video. For every single file that I change in the video, there's a link down below, and it tells you what the specific code changes for those are. Plus, I added articles or other resources that I think you might find useful. So if you're not watching on my website, go to my website right now. Register an account. It takes like 30 seconds. There's a link down below in the description of this video. Go to the course and watch it there. I'll see you in the next video.